Hey there, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, anyone and everyone in between. It's your boy, Brian Von VA, back at it again with a burning question in my heart. How did you, or the DM, reflavor your characters, spells, or moves, and why? In the campaign I'm in right now, I'm playing an Echo Knight fighter. Now, usually your Echo isn't able to talk, however, my DM is allowing me to have it speak. For some context, I'm playing a water genasi that's essentially like a swamp bender from Avatar. A super hick southern good old boy. My Echo, however, is a posh British accent-using complete asshole. It's great fun to have two to argue. Echo Knight, by the way, is one of the cooler subclasses of fighter, as the script guy wants to chime in. He once ran a game where he had a player whose fighter had PTSD, and her way of coping with the loss of her comrades was to channel the memories of her fallen friends as her Echo. So each time she channeled her Echo, it took the shape of not her, but one of her fallen allies. Personal one was for two spells, Wither and Bloom and Counterspell. Wither and Bloom now sprouts a bunch of withered thorns that use the blood of its victim to sprout a flower to heal a chosen person. Counterspell, on the other hand, has been changed so that the only somatic component is the caster flipping the other caster the bird. You don't get double digits, my friend, you just get one. My Dragonlance character, Asaius, I hope I pronounced that correctly, is an Aarakocra, and it's a detail that Common is not her first language, that being Aarakocran and Orin. And she's a cleric who doesn't even know what one is. This being the start of the War of the Lance, where there hasn't been a divine class for 300 plus years. She's also a servant of Habakkuk, the Blue Phoenix. I hope I also pronounced that correctly. As such, all the verbal components of her spells are done via her making bird calls or songs, because she's saying them in her native language. Now, this tends to lead into the spells itself. They often take the form of visible sound waves. As Habakkuk's symbol is a blue phoenix, they also have a lot of fire imagery. She doesn't have most of the holy invoking of power because she doesn't have any idea how a cleric is actually supposed to do things. For instances, Bless and Bane both manifest as her letting out a sonic wave that washes over the target. If Bless is used, the target's eyes and weapons get cloaked in bright blue flames, and Bane cloaks enemies' eyes and weapons in baleful blue ones. Her Toll of the Dead manifests basically as Danny Phantom's ghostly wail. Now, Silence, on the other hand, is represented as the screech coming out as that ear-ringing noise you hear after too loud of a noise goes off nearby. One of my favorites that I don't get to use too often is Blight, which manifests as a phoenix of baleful blue flames that washes over an enemy, just causing necrosis rather than burns where the fire catches on them. My party also likes her Guiding Bolt, which has her do a screech where the visible sound waves condense into a beam of radiant light, basically giving her a breath weapon. Another bit of flavor is Asaius has no idea, absolutely none, as to what she's doing, and her first time using a spell or ability just happens when she wants to do something and has the spell for it, after which she can use it at will. So often her using a spell for the first time is followed by her being completely befuddled at what she just did. I tend to flavor spells and skills very much every time to fit the character that uses them. For example, since my fighter started with 0 magical knowledge, when I multi-classed him into Artificer, it was him learning to apply magical runes from a book. So technically, he wasn't casting any spells since he was just applying runes following his instruction manual. Another reflavor I made was my wizard casting Disintegrate by snapping his fingers, Infinity Gauntlet style, although I did do it before Thanos. To me, the description on Disintegrate, a thin green ray springs from your pointing finger, is weirdly specific and kinda makes it feel less powerful. Snapping your fingers makes it feel like you're much stronger. And it makes sense since a wizard gets level 6 spells at level 11th, so you're already quite powerful when you can cast Disintegrate. It also makes it feel like you're being somewhat dismissive, as if you didn't really care about who you're trying to disintegrate and you're just getting rid of a nuisance. In terms of skills, one of my favorite ones is when I reflavored the Barbarian to be a knight. He used full armor and a two-handed sword, so the only thing I did to reflavor him was soften the descriptions. Rage wasn't him entering a state of pure fury and anger, but rather focusing on the combat. Reckless attack wasn't him throwing all concern for defense to attack with fierce desperation, but it was instead him putting all his might into his attack, while trusting his heavy armor would deflect any incoming blows. Fun fact, his armor didn't stop a single blow through all the one shot I played him, regardless of using reckless attack or not. And one would assume that, since we were only level 2 or 3, an AC of 18 would have at least done something, but for some reason, each and every attack from enemies with a +2 at most did hit him. It was so ridiculous that we came up with the theory that his armor wasn't really good and didn't actually protect him at all. Now, as a last note, I actually think reflavor is a term we should get rid of in this context, since it makes you feel like you're breaking the lore or something, when it should be the norm. I know it's not what it means, but I've seen far too many people that kind of dislike reflavoring skills because they feel it's somehow breaking the rules. I get that some players do like to just play a canonically correct barbarian, and there's nothing wrong with it, but even then, tailoring the descriptions to fit with your interpretation of your character should be the logical thing to do, and that can happen when you're not reflavoring the whole class. My character is a bard who plays rock and uses his magic to make it sound like it does today with the old-timey instruments. So, to cast Bardic inspiration, I play a bit of AC/DC. Often when killing an enemy in a cool way, he'll sing, "You've been thunderstruck, bada boom, baby!" Or when a barbarian character returned out of nowhere and killed a shade with one hit, it was, "'Cause he's back in black!" I cast Dissonant Whispers, and the bad guy hears Baby by Justin Bieber. I am not singing Baby by Justin Bieber. You cannot pay me to do that. I cast Shatter, and he hits the "Yeah!" from the Baba O'Reilly by The Who. Song of Rest, that's Classical Gas by Mason Williams. Heroism, Rise of the Phoenix by Tenacious D. Bane, We Will Rock You by Queen. I just got Mass Healing Word, and I'm not sure what I should have for the song for that one, but I'm working on it, and I'm open to suggestions. I have a character that I want to play that is a modern-day scientist from our world who traveled to the DM's world. Very long story, condensed extremely short. She casts her spells through her tablet, so a lot of her spells would either be holographic or references that would make sense to anyone not in a fantasy world. Here are a few examples. Maze would be her trapping the target into Pac-Man. Copying spells in a book is made similar to scanning a QR code. Buying DLC and waiting on a 2-hour download. Just tilt the tablet sideways. You know that's going to make gravity take the bar faster. And blindness and deafness forces the person affected to watch a Raid Shadow Legends ad or listen to a Rickroll on loop until the spell ends. You know, I'm begging the universe. Give us a really expensive Raid Shadow Legends ad. We could have put that in right here. We need it for the next joke we get. In my best campaign so far, one of my players was playing a Kenku Hexblade Warlock, who was beholden to a minor goddess of night. This little bird got for her pact a gun with metal and powder that twinkled like starlight. So every time she fired or used Eldritch Blast, the shot would look like a star being flung at the enemy and stung appropriately. All of her spells with somatic components were flavored to be her drawing one of the star constellations that existed in the world into thin air. Seeing how this character was still a bird with a gun, you can imagine the shenanigans she got into being skittish and armed. Take the gun away from her! Back in 4th edition, I started to professionally DM. Ooh, fancy. So I started to pick apart the game and came up with a solution to something that had been bugging me for a long time. If a cleric was a worshipper of a specific elemental aspect, such as Zephyr being a god of poison, at character creation he could permanently replace all radiant damage from divine spells with poison damage, as that was his god's specialty. I also made sure that there were clerics and paladins and angels for each god, regardless of alignment. So you had paladins of poison and snake angels with wings made of daggers for feathers like a metal album Quetzalcoatl. DM here. In the campaign I've been running, I've been making so the create shape water spell will only work if there's a water source nearby. I thought that's sort of how it kind of worked to a degree anyway. I mainly added this because the second town the party journeys into has been suffering a drought, and the water genasi thought he could just instantly help the town by using his create water spell. Now he has to homebrew a spell that lets him detect any nearby water so he can use his create water spell. In a homebrew campaign, I play as an Eladrin elf bard. Wait, isn't an Eladrin basically an offshoot cousin of an elf? And his go-to spell for attacking is Thunderwave! He casts it by hitting the drum he carries on his back with the grip of his rapier. Due to this, the spell is even louder, and while it doesn't do more damage, it can deafen or startle enemies. I really like that flavor. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and of course leave a comment down below letting us know how did you, or your DM, reflavor your characters, spells, or moves, and why. We love you all, be safe, be happy, see you next time, bye for now.